everyone, and welcome to episode 162 of Cinema Toast Crunch, this week with Garvis.
And Garvis.
And Kayla.
Alrighty, and this is our fun week because we've got an indie film to watch this time around.
Yeah. Don't know a lot about this one, which we never know a lot really going in. So,
yeah, the guy, I think, described it as Nordic Noir. I cannot, for the life of me, right now remember the guy's name because I've had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And normally, I try to at least somewhat have this stuff ready to go.
Yeah.
But I've been pretty busy this week.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you still could have easily looked it up before the show started. While you were looking up the number of the show that we were on and everything. Yeah. That might have been.
I will still have the stuff pulled up when we get ready to talk.
So. I was going to say, that might have been possibly a...
yeah.
But
anyway...
I will go you one better.
You're going to go ahead and look it up on the IMDb.
Yeah.
Yes. While you do that.
Was it the director that contacted us?
Yes.
David Noel Bourke.
Okay.
Or Burke.
Yeah, I was pronouncing it Burke.
It's either Bourke or Burke.
Or it could be some sort of different pronunciation that we're not thinking of.
Yeah. Burke.
Yeah. But so if we're butchering your last name, we apologize.
Yeah. But to be fair, with a name like Garvis,
yeah,
we're used to that as well.
Yeah.
So Jarvis,
oh yeah, because I'll go into places and it's like, well, what's your name? And like, Garvis. Jarvis? No, Garvis. I literally just told you my name, like how to pronounce it.
That's why I tell everyone just to call you guys, you Gar, and I call GG.
Yeah.
Because and then they ended up lengthening it to Garth for some reason. My granny.
I'm fine if they're calling me Garth. At least they're getting the hard G, pronunciation.
And we will leave that line alone.
Yeah, that was a bad breaking point there in my speech, but. Anyway, we'll leave it alone, and we'll go ahead and move on to the people that have died in the industry so far.
Okay.
All right. Now, do you still have that one pulled up?
Yeah, Joseph Pilato.
Okay.
He was an American actor. He was in quite a few of Romero's films, several of which we've actually done here on the show. He got his start in Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
He was just a kind of cameo role. He was one of the officers at the police dock.
Okay.
He was also in Night Riders.
Oh.
And he got a much bigger role in Day of the Dead.
Okay.
He was Captain Rhodes in that film.
Ah, all right.
But he was also in Pulp Fiction, which we just did a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
He played the Dean Martin lookalike at the restaurant.
Ah, okay.
He was in Wishmaster.
Okay.
And as I pointed out to you, he was in Digimon.
Yes, which is an anime I watched a lot growing up.
Well, it's a popular kids show, or was.
Yeah.
And it's still
kind of is.
Yeah, I was going to say it's kind of had a resurgence or something.
Well, it's because the company that does Digimon, from if I can remember correctly, actually went back and did a kind of later down the road series where they brought back a lot of the original characters.
Mm.
Yeah.
But his last film was Night of the Living Dead Origins 3D.
Okay.
And I haven't seen that one. But he played Harry Cooper, who was basically the guy who wanted everybody to get into the basement.
Okay.
In Night of the Living Dead.
Ah.
So.
Okay.
Anyway.
Some of the other ones. Michael Lynn, who was the former former co-chairman and CEO of New Line Cinema. I wasn't totally wrong, but I was reading all that incorrectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he started with Bob Shea in the early 1980s.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with New Line.
Oh yeah, well, New Line released Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
of course, later on. They were the studio that did the Lord of the Rings films.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Now, one of the bigger ones here, Larry Cohen.
Yeah. Larry Cohen is one that I personally was sorry to see pass away. He was a director and writer. He was responsible for a lot of really fun movies. He did the It's Alive films.
Which you showed me the first one out of that, and
I don't remember if you saw it or not.
Yeah, you showed it. You showed It's Alive to me. Then you said there was like 2 more. It was like It's Alive 2, and then Island of the Alive, or something like that.
It Lives Again. Okay. Island of, It's Alive 2, and Island of the Alive is It's Alive 3.
Yeah, but you showed me the first one. I enjoyed the first one.
Okay.
But he also did Hell Up in Harlem. So because that's one of the other ones they have listed here.
Yeah, he. One of his more recent, well, I won't say recent because it's been 20 years ago, but he did Q, the Winged Serpent.
Yes, which I have seen.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah. He wrote the scripts for both cellular and for phone booth.
Okay.
And I read an interview with him somewhere, and he was talking about one of his friends told him, he said, "You realize you wrote the same movie twice." Because there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Right.
One of them, they can't hang up the cell phone because she just managed to get connected, by accident. It wasn't something she could dial the guy back.
Right.
And in phone booth,
he's trapped in a phone booth on the phone and can't leave because if he hangs up and leaves,
he'll get killed.
Right.
Yeah. But I watched both of them, and I really enjoyed both of them. So.
Okay.
He always kept the action going. He was a great, fun director. I mean, I can't put it any simpler than that. He did a lot of B movies. Well, when we're forgetting the Stuff.
Oh, yes.
You
Killer
have
Yogurt.
Exactly. You have to love and respect a man who can do a film about killer yogurt.
Yes.
With Garrett Morris, nonetheless. So, anyway.
And the last one of note here, Denise Dewberry, producer and Black Sheep Squadron actress. She passed away at 63.
Okay.
So, yeah. A lot of the other people were just like, agents, other executives, dressmakers.
Yeah.
Although, not to say that those roles aren't important.
Right.
I've steered clear of trying to, list dressmakers and executives unless they're like, in the case of, Mr. Lynn, who was, the CEO of New Line.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there are some others that the Hollywood Reporter didn't cover, like the Joe Pilato that we mentioned. And then your mom, she scrolled through every day to look at Wikipedia's deaths in 2019 or whatever year we're in. And there was a Danish comedian, I think his name was Morten, I can't remember his last name, Lindbergh maybe?
Okay.
But he performed under the name Master Fat Man.
Okay.
And he had a short film, which we're not going to discuss the title on right now.
Right.
But
is that blank from outer space?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Mom was telling me about that one.
Anyway, I remember that surfacing on the internet years ago.
Okay.
And it linked to, at that point, there was like an IMDb page for it. Okay. And then one day it just disappeared. And I thought, okay, it's been a hoax, not really a film by this name, because it was such an outrageous title.
Right.
That
there's no way it could exist.
Exactly. But apparently, yes, it did. I don't know what happened, whether the IMDb just took it down. I don't know if they ever put it back up or not. I haven't went and looked. But if you're curious, you can go to the Wikipedia entry, or probably do a search for Master Fat Man, and you'll see the title we're talking about, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Well, moving on.
Yeah, to titles that are coming out this week.
Well, I was going to talk about things that we've watched this week instead of letting that slide to the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So did you get a chance to see anything this week?
Nothing much to speak of.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of stuff on the DVR I need to get cleared off, but a lot of it's short films.
Right.
And I did sit down and watch a movie I had put on it. It was a short called Thirst.
Okay.
This was made in 1917, and it was a comedy, and it was silent. Was it Mac Brown, I think, was the star.
Okay.
And he it takes place initially. It's in a boarding house, and the landlady is very quick to make sure to stop anybody from jumping rent.
Right.
And Ambrose is the name of the guy that Mac Brown plays, and I ought to check that and make sure I've got the name right.
Okay.
But anyway, he and this other little fella have a room together, and they drink a lot, and that's another thing she frowns upon. But he's kind of romancing the postmaster's daughter to try and get some money.
Okay.
And he ends up stealing the payroll out of a lock box that they didn't have locked or in the safe.
Okay.
And he runs off with the daughter, but then he ditches her for another woman that's also a con artist. And
spiffy.
Yeah, it's just
sounds interesting.
It was. I actually enjoyed it, and apparently there were several of these films about the Ambrose character.
Okay.
Because I had taped's not the proper word, really. DVR'd another one called Ambrose Madcap Adventure or something like that.
Huh, okay.
And I haven't got around to watching it yet, but it's sitting there.
Okay.
Yeah. Came out July 29th of 1917. Max Swain.
Okay.
Sorry, what did I say?
I don't remember.
Okay, Mac Brown, I think's what I said.
Oh yeah, I think that's what you said.
Now, Max Swain.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But as I said, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to watching the other one. And good God, Madcap Ambrose. That's the other one I've got on there. I'm sorry. I'm about half asleep still, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was worth watching.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, Kayla and I did see a few films. We went through and I got a chance to finally sit and watch the Astro Boy movie.
Okay.
I forget which company had done it, but I mean it was fairly recent. 'Cause I'm familiar with Astro Boy.
Yeah.
And it was one of those ones I wanted to see, but didn't get to. Well, I finally got to sit down and watch it. Yeah, it was enjoyable.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically the Astro Boy origin story. I don't know how true it is to the original source material.
Okay.
So, but it was still a fun watch.
Alrighty.
Then I know we also watched the new Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Yeah, we checked it out from the library through their Express DVD program.
Okay.
Yeah, that one is very much a middle movie. They set it up, blatantly set it up for a third movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but it does help set up some of what you see throughout the Harry Potter series proper.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
I picked that one up. This has been a rough couple weeks with Target on these. I like to collect. Some people do steel books.
Yeah.
I like the ones that are in packaging that actually looks like a book.
Yeah.
And then there's some that have books included. While those aren't my favorite of the two, I prefer the book packaging. But Crimes of Grindelwald was released in that format.
Oh, okay.
And I've got it. I just haven't had a chance to look at it. It's a Target does those almost exclusively.
Oh, okay.
And then Best Buy almost always does a steel book.
Right.
And Walmart does a lot with figures added in, either a pop or a action figure or something.
Box.
Well, they've done lunch boxes too. But
Yeah.
nobody's doing those much right now.
Yeah.
So. But no, this one was definitely kind of a middle film.
Yeah.
There's some characters that show up that you get to hear about in the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
And the main villain Grindelwald, they were someone was definitely correct in calling him basically a wizard Hitler.
Okay.
So it's kind of like Voldemort before Voldemort, really.
Okay.
And a lot less hostile.
Okay.
So
more
far.
of a nose.
Yeah, definitely a much more noticeable nose.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't figure you finished the films, but Voldemort didn't have a nose.
Yeah, I know he didn't have a nose. I just wasn't entirely sure at first what Kayla was talking about because, you have to always think when she says something to jump into Kayla land.
Yeah.
And so she could be saying that, we have a character with a Pinocchio-like protuberance. Or something. And So, anyway.
But no, it was fun, but like I said, it's very much a middle film.
Okay.
Then I know we watched a couple of other things.
Do you want me to help you with this?
Yes, help me out here.
We borrowed a couple movies from the library that was not express. Two of them we did get to watch. The other two is still at the house we need to watch. But the ones that we did watch was Irobot and Overboard, the newer one.
Yeah. I just wanted to go back and rewatch Irobot. I hadn't seen it in a while.
Okay.
And, the remake of Overboard is almost beat for beat like the original.
Well, the remake just didn't appeal to me in the least.
It's not terrible, honestly. Like I said, it's pretty much beat for beat like the original.
Yeah.
Just, it's a role reversal. One of the things that I got a bit of a chuckle out of, and Kayla did too, is they actually made reference back to the first Overboard.
Okay.
Yeah. When the guy comes in with his amnesia, they're talking with
His sister.
Well, yeah, his sister, and they mentioned that this that they had another case similar to this years ago.
In
Was
the
a young
80s.
woman.
Yeah.
And
And it's still
And
Elko from the original one.
yeah, same location, and Kayla pointed out it was the same doctor from the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought that was a cute little nod to the first one because she went out of her way to show me the first one or the original. And this one, it wasn't horrible. In fact, honestly, I found it a little more believable than the original.
Yeah.
As wild as the tale of rich person getting amnesia is.
Yeah.
But I love how they incorporated telenovelas in this one. Spanish soap opera.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. I was looking
We
at.
know.
I was making sure that you knew actually.
Yes,
I did.
Ugly
I
Betty
figured,
and
yeah,
which was Betty Love. I forget the original title now.
Yeah.
But it was brought over here to America and became Ugly Betty.
Yeah,
Ran
okay.
for 4 seasons, I think it was on
Yeah.
ABC.
yeah. But anyway, so it wasn't a horrible film, and I don't know. Honestly, me personally, I liked it better than the original.
Okay.
But
Like I said, I didn't care for what I saw in the trailers, and so it wasn't something I was
the
going to jump out.
trailers really don't. They don't really do this film that much justice.
Yeah.
Because, the guy he's basically a rich playboy.
Yeah.
And, it's that sense of entitlement that, and just all sorts of the stuff that he does
Yeah.
when you first meet him. And the only thing that gets me is in, a day and age of, what seems like, cell phones and computers and stuff. Someone should have eventually known who this guy was.
Yeah.
I could buy it back in the 80s, someone not knowing who the rich chick was that fell off the boat.
Yeah.
But, in the days of modern technology, I do find it a little hard to believe that no one knew who this guy was.
Well, in the days of 24/7 news too.
Yeah.
Back then you had a newscast in the afternoon, one in the evening, and one late at night.
Yeah.
And that was it. And now it's, like I said,
you got 24-hour news stations.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean that's a little hard to believe.
This is the kind of story that they would have picked up, and
considering he was part of the heir to one of the, I think, biggest, concrete companies in the world. Yeah. And there's just, I liked his kind of, I don't want to say self-transformation.
Yeah.
But everything kind of, hit him, the reality and stuff hit him a little more believably than it did for Goldie Hawn's character, in my opinion. Because he starts looking around and realizing, I was an absolute piece of shit.
Yeah, well.
And, basically, in a rather dramatic fashion, tells his dad to go fuck himself.
Okay.
So, but, of course, it has to have a happy ending.
Yeah, well, for the most part.
Yeah. But anyway.
Okay.
Well, I think I've waffled on about that.
Yeah.
A little bit more than I wanted to. There were other things in there that we watched, but I cannot for the life of me remember what they are because they were early in the week. Alrighty. Now let's move on to what's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD this week.
Alrighty.
And Digital Bits, once again, doesn't have, many of the large films.
Yeah.
So some of the big ones that are coming out this week, we got Aquaman, which actually we have a copy in the car right now to watch.
No, it's in the back in the living room.
Oh, well, either way, we've got a copy from the library to watch.
Well, you remember me talking about how all these titles had come out from Target this last? Yeah. That was another one. It came out with a book packaging. It's got a nice lenticular cover that flips between Aquaman and Black Manta.
Ooh.
And,
Okay. Anyway, then let's see. Second Act is coming out with Jennifer Lopez. That's the movie about the woman who can't seem to get a job, and so she enlists her kids basically to make a fake profile for her.
I think it was her friend, but okay.
They're supposed to punch up her resume and everything, and they
added a little bit of too much.
They embellished way too much. Yeah. Anyway, we also have coming out If Beale Street Could Talk.
Which the library had that. I didn't know if you were interested.
Not massively. Let's see. Stan and Ollie is also coming out. Now, that's one if the library had, I would want you to pick up.
Yeah, I saw that at Walmart. I stopped in there this morning to see what other titles they had. And
okay. Anyway, we've also got the release of Capernaum.
Yeah.
Which was up for an Oscar recently. I don't think it won.
No, it was up for Best Foreign Film.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I thought so.
Yeah, trying to fight back the steamroller that was Roma.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a couple of the others here. Columbus, I don't know a whole lot about it. It looks like it's been running the circuit.
Okay.
The festival circuit. Kim Possible, for anyone that actually gives a hoot. It's the live action adaptation of the cartoon Kim Possible, which cartoon I actually enjoy. But anyway, and then the last big one, well, not really big one, but the last one here is King of Thieves.
Right. That was another one I saw available at Walmart. But.
Yeah. It's got an interesting cover on it, though. It's basically, it looks like someone's got one of those little elderly grip tools reaching for a diamond. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, I decided to jump ahead. I was looking here.
Oh, okay.
See what was coming out next week. Next week is the big title is Bumblebee, so that'll probably be another Target
book thing.
Well, I don't know if they'll do the book or not, because one of the things they've done on a lot of the Transformer DVDs are cases that transform.
Ah, okay.
I've got 2 of the 3 that they did that I know of. There may have been others.
Okay.
But
anyway.
I saw something, if you don't mind scrolling up. The mule, they have that at the library now.
Well.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the thing I was actually kind of looking about, and that triggered it, is we're down now to, I think, 2 Oscar nominees that hadn't been released on Blu-ray or DVD yet.
Right, and I saw where one of them is coming out next week.
Right, that Vice is coming out next week, but Roma is still
Not
unavailable.
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's also on
It's on Netflix, right, and that's probably why it's not.
Yeah, it'll be probably a couple more months before that hits DVD.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, moving on to digital bits. We've got a 4K release of the original Pet Sematary.
It is a 30th anniversary release.
Yes.
Yes.
And it has been upgraded for 4K. It's also coming out, or is also out rather, on Blu-ray.
Right.
It's got a nice cover. I saw it at the Walmart. Didn't buy it, and I just looked at it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a mock-up of the book cover. The original book cover has Church, and Church is actually supposed to be a fluffier, kind of like, you know how the cat that they have in the upcoming one that's coming to theaters on the 5th? That's actually what Church is supposed to look like, but in the movie, it's more of a Russian blue cat.
Okay.
So they actually, basically...
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Anyway, we've also got coming out from Shout Select, the Street Fighter collection.
Right, this is the Sonny Chiba
Yes.
films. Well, depending on what all they have in the series, because it branched off to Sista Street Fighter and a bunch of other variations.
4.5 hours worth of stuff.
Yeah, it's probably just Street Fighter and
Street Fighter, Return of Street Fighter,
and Street Fighter's Last Revenge or something like that.
Street Fighter's Last Revenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what it's got.
I will say Sonny Chiba makes a good martial arts film.
Yes.
I'd never heard of Sonny Chiba, and then I got turned on to him by a Quentin Tarantino screenplay for a Tony Scott film called True Romance.
Okay.
And highly recommend that movie.
Okay.
And I highly recommend Sonny Chiba, too.
Okay. Moving on from Kino, we've got The Iceman Cometh.
Yeah, with Lee Marvin, Jeff Bridges. I don't know anything about the movie, but
Meh.
It looks like it might be a decent.
Yeah.
Well, directed by John Frankenheimer too.
Okay.
So, the original story was a Eugene O'Neill story.
Right.
So.
Okay. Moving on, we've also got a Blu-ray release of Kingdom of the Spiders, which is actually one of the DVDs we have from the library to watch.
I've got Kingdom of the Spiders, I believe. It's William Shatner. I like the cover on this one much better than the one.
That's what they have on the DVD that we have.
I may be getting it confused, and I'm thinking the one I've got's got a kind of a mock-up cover. Anyway, as I recall, it's not the greatest movie. I much preferred the Giant Spider Invasion.
Right.
But it's a fun little B flick.
Okay. Let's see. Moving on here, we got.
They do have second act. It's just buried.
Yeah.
But still no Aquaman.
Yeah. But they do have this movie, Javaro 3D.
Right. That looks... It's the kind of stuff that interests me because these were the 1950s 3D films when they were fighting, trying to get people into the theaters and away from the new thing called television.
Yeah.
And they made a lot of really bad 3D movies. This one is starring Fernando Lamas, Rhonda Fleming, and Brian Keith. Brian Keith, I will always remember and always think of with Family Affair.
Okay.
You know, so
Okay.
Uncle Bill.
Now, I wonder if this is actually going to be in 3D or if it's just going to be a case of it's, you know, a 2D film that just really isn't going to hold up because they tried to do that forcible 3D stuff.
I don't know how they're going to do it on the Blu-ray. Is that Kino releasing that?
I would hazard a guess and say it probably is.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of neat if we had the information like right there on the page. And yeah, that's Kino.
Okay. The next one we've got a Criterion.
Yeah, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Yep. You know anything about that one, Gar?
Not a clue, and the cover does nothing for me.
The cover is a reworking of the original one sheet, but the original one sheet was a photo.
Okay.
This
looks kind of like they got a Mad Max art.
Not Mad Max, Mad Magazine. Yeah.
Sorry, the way I had the screen up here, looking at it, there's an anime up there that's got a pair of X's on it, so the brain just kind of like read those X's as I'm reading this because.
Okay.
I'm starting to feel like it's a Beatles thing because I see John Paul and.
You are correct. It is about the Beatles when they came to America, and it was produced by Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, it was directed by Robert Zemeckis.
Ah, okay.
If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure because this was the film that, Bob Zemeckis.
Okay.
Spielberg helped him out, by producing it.
Okay.
And then he was going to produce, I think it was used cars for him.
Oh.
And they were like, no, we already did one film and, it didn't do well for you. And we don't want to, we want to be able to stand on our own. And
yeah.
So they did. I'm surprised at this coming out from Criterion.
Oh.
It's almost a forgotten film in many ways. You don't hear a lot about it.
Yeah.
But they're releasing it.
Okie dokie.
So. I've got a copy of it on DVD.
Okay. Anyway, moving right along here, we've got a Blu-ray release of Clint Eastwood's For a Few Dollars More. Now, I just say Clint Eastwood's because, it's a Clint Eastwood film.
Yeah, it's one of his Italian westerns that he did.
Yeah.
It's a Sergio Leone film who was basically the master of the spaghetti western.
Right.
As well as, he did a lot of other stuff, too. I believe, I could be wrong, I believe he also did Once Upon a Time in America.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Anyway, coming out from Arrow, we've got Blood Hunger, the films of Jose Larraz. Or is that Larraz, or is that...
No, Larraz sounds right.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with this. What are the films they have listed there? Whirlpool, The Coming...
Of Sin?
Okay, maybe that's what
and
it is.
Vampires.
Yeah.
Which Vampires,
I think that's The Coming Sin, but...
is a Italian vampire flick. Because of the spelling, if I remember correctly.
Well, that's coming out, as you said, from Arrow.
Yeah.
So, I would give it a...
I'd give it a look-see.
Yeah.
Then, over here, we've got the Blu-ray release of The Body Snatcher with Boris Karloff.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's Shout Factory.
I'm actually
Boris
checking that now.
Karloff and Bela Lugosi.
And it's based on a story by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Okay.
You recognize that name, don't you, Gar? Treasure Island.
Okay.
And also Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And yes, that was coming out from Shout.
Yay.
Yes.
We got a Cinerama film called The Golden Head.
Yeah.
It's from Flicker Alley. I don't really know anything about it. I know Cinerama was this process they had, once again, trying to get people back into the theaters.
Right.
Where it would be like a film screen, but then they'd put an additional screen on the left and on the right, and it made it a much more immersive, big screen extravaganza.
Yeah.
And the Cinerama films usually were on a I'm trying to think what they called those. I want to say Roadhouse, and that's not right. That's not the proper term for it.
Mm.
But they would take them around and they would tour them.
Roadshow?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Roadshow pictures.
All right. Then we got a triple feature from MVD, and that's Nemesis 2, 3, and 4. Those have some neat, like, box arts.
Yeah.
So, then I notice here there's a bunch of these Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, and Dorothy Lamour films.
Right. They're the road films. And Let Cookie and the Trash Truck have their say.
Yes. Road to Morocco, Road to Singapore, and Road to Utopia.
And Road to Zanzibar is down here a little
it was
further.
down there a little further.
I don't see Road to Rio. I believe that was another one.
Okay.
Have you never seen any of the road films?
No, I haven't. I'd never even heard of them until just now.
I've watched a couple of them. Road to Bali is another one that's not on there.
Oh, okay.
They made a bunch of these, and it was Hope and Crosby were, box office movie, team gold.
Yeah.
They were White Christmas, weren't they?
No, that was Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye.
Oh.
Yeah.
But they made a bunch of these movies together, and it was always they were out together someplace, and they stumble into something, they get into trouble, whatever, and they cope with it. And Dorothy Lamour was always the female, love interest, or sometimes she would be a comedic foil,
okay.
for 'em. But yeah, they did a bunch of these movies.
Well, these look like they'd be fun to
as
watch.
I said, all the ones I've seen have been, really funny and well done. Bing Crosby would always sing a couple songs, usually in them.
Okay.
We may have to do one of these days.
Okay. Now, we got another criterion down here, Japan.
Yeah. Don't know anything about that, but
not a clue either.
Knowing that it's Criterion,
yeah, you always know you're getting quality with Criterion.
Yeah.
And I was looking to see if it had anything, but once again, just like with every other Criterion I've ever had to look at to try and find anything,
yeah,
it doesn't tell me a blasted thing, other than B-Ray. So,
well,
yeah.
I want to see. Is Kino the ones doing the road films, or is that?
I think those are Kino's.
Road to Bali is being released. They just didn't have it. And Road to Rio. Yeah, Road to Rio and Road to Bali are also.
Okay. Yeah, I started scrolling down to see if I could see if maybe they were just further down the list. But
yeah.
Anyway,
Rio and Bali are only $14.49 on Amazon Prime, and the others are $17.99.
Huh.
I'll take it back. Road to Morocco is $16.81.
Oh, okay.
Road to Hong Kong. That one I've never heard of. Huh. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Now, I'm just looking down here, kind of trying to pick out, because there's also, oh, crap, where'd it go? There it is. The Tarnished Angels, which is Rock Hudson, Robert Stack, Dorothy Malone.
Yeah. We've also got looks like an 80s horror film called Close Calls. I could be wrong. It may not be an 80s film, but it's got an old-style rotary phone set up in around candles and this girl looking over it. It says, experience the terror in Morgan's head. Pray she won't pick up the phone and end up dead.
Ah.
So that
Cute.
looks,
Yeah.
looks fun.
Yeah.
Brighton Beach Memoirs is a Shout Select release.
Right.
That's a Neil Simon film.
Okay.
There was a trilogy that Neil Simon did. It was Brighton Beach Memoirs, Biloxi Blues, and I forget what the third one was. Brighton Beach Memoirs and Biloxi Blues were both done as movies, but in Biloxi Blues, the character was played by, I want to say Matthew J. Fox. No, not Matthew J. Fox, was it? No. Shoot. Who's the one in Ferris Bueller?
Hun,
Kayla?
You'd be the one to know this.
I'm drawing a blank, and I should know this.
I should know
Matthew
this too.
Broderick.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick was the actor in
okay.
Biloxi Blues.
Now, what is this Life After Flash? Is that
Apparently, it is a film about Sam J. Jones, the guy that played Flash Gordon in the 1980s Dino De Laurentiis Flash Gordon.
Okay, I was
film.
just about to ask, does that have anything to do with Flash Gordon?
Yeah, he was the actor. He played Flash, and I don't know that he's done much of anything since.
Okay.
He's had a few cameos on shows, I think. He might have been on Big Bang Theory or something like that.
You know, that's a film I'd like to see, maybe try and get remade.
Flash Gordon?
Yeah.
No. It was fun. And
okay.
I think if you tried to remake it, you would either lose what made it campy and fun, or they would play up the campiness to the point that it would be
terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you could do another Flash Gordon film. Flash Gordon originally started, it was a comic strip, and it was a bunch of movie serials back in the 30s, where, like I told you, we were talking about serials a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You'd go to the movies this week, and Flash Gordon would be caught in a death ray, and was he going to die or whatever? And then at the beginning of the next part of the serial, when you went back next week to the movie, you'd see how Flash got away from the death ray and everything. I've been seriously wanting to do the parody film Flesh Gordon because it's a lot of fun. Once again,
right?
It's a lot of humor in the film, a lot of great special effects from Jim Danforth.
Right. I've seen Flesh Gordon.
You have seen
it? Yes.
Okay. I can't remember if you'd seen it or not.
Yeah.
That was probably one of those you snuck out of the collection while I was,
Yep, openly admitting it.
Yeah.
Now I look down through the rest of the Blu-rays, and there really isn't a whole hell of a lot that I can tell.
Yeah.
And I'm scrolling down through the DVDs.
There are a lot of other titles, but just nothing that necessarily jumps out.
Yeah.
You do have a criterion of To Sleep with Anger,
which we talked about, I think, not last week, maybe the week before.
Okay.
I do remember seeing it.
Okay.
So, I think I pointed out, it's over here, too.
Yeah, and Severin Films.
Cannibal Terror.
Right.
Yeah, that did kind of catch my attention, but...
Yeah, well, Severin Films I'm always kind of intrigued by, and, gut munchers always kind of get my attention as well.
Yes.
It's a British release, but there's a Blu-ray of The Rage, Carrie 2. Kind of, there have been so many remakes of Carrie by now that it just kind of disappeared into the ether that there were sequels, you know?
Well, I was scrolling down through here, and one kind of caught my attention because where we've got Pet Sematary coming out, for the 30th anniversary, there's one down here called The Graveyard, which has a cat. It's an all-white case, pretty much.
I see it.
Yeah. And it's like, what a time to release something like that when Pet Sematary is having its 30th anniversary.
Yeah, well, and a new movie coming out.
Right.
Warning, this film is not for the squeamish.
Yes.
Looks interesting. I like the cover art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And right beside it is a film called Countryside,
Yeah.
Welcome. That's CIDE, like in suicide and homicide.
And
it's
pesticide.
A girl out in the woods with her foot caught in a bear trap.
One of those old-style bear traps with the teeth.
Yeah, and a couple of wolves, it looks like, in the background.
So, and its little line here is, "Welcome to the great outdoors."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'm looking down through here, and I thought maybe I'd see the other ones of the road films.
Yeah.
But they didn't show up down here, and there isn't a whole lot left.
Okay.
All right.
Well, there are plenty more titles there.
Oh yeah, but it's just not ones that are jumping out and telling us, "Hey, read me."
Yeah, like Doll Cemetery.
Yeah.
Although
there is a couple of what looks like Japanese horror films on here.
Yeah, well, that's one of them.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's going to do it for DVDs and Blu-rays this week. Just as a reminder, if you'd like to check out any of the ones we talked about or any of the ones we didn't, generally you can go to thedigitalbits.com, click on their new release and arts page, and it'll pull up a list of all the DVDs that are coming out for the week, unless they've conveniently forgotten to list some of the big titles like I don't know, Aquaman. And you can scroll down through the list, and if you see one you want, you can't live without it, you can click on its picture, and it'll take you to the Amazon page in which you can buy it. And as long as you buy it, or anything else for that matter, through that link, then Digital Bits gets a little bit of a kickback, which helps them keep their website maintained. So,
yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to check to make sure I don't butcher this name. So, go on ahead.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, you can start off with Dumbo. I'm sure Kayla can wax eloquent about.
Well, I think I'm going to have to reload the IMDb page. So give me a second.
Okay. Well, I've got it now.
Okay, I got it now too. So, yeah, one of the biggest films coming out this week is, of course, the live-action Dumbo, which
from Tim Burton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I actually like the way Dumbo looks.
Well, it's got a good cast. It's Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see the need to redo all the classic Disney animated films as live-action films.
I think they hit a wall, and it's like, well, what do we do to fill the void every year? I don't know, let's take one of our old ones, make it live action. That's a great idea.
Well, what was the first one they did like that? Was it Beauty and the Beast?
No, Cinderella.
Cinderella?
Was it Cinderella? I thought Maleficent was the first attempt.
Technically.
No, Maleficent, first off, wasn't Disney.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was. And wasn't it based on...
It was based on Maleficent's point of view. Or at least it was supposed to be, Maleficent's story. That, you're supposed to feel bad for her. Instead of, she is, this evil, horrible monster that put a curse on the princess.
Oh, well. Anyway.
But the first one out of that batch was Cinderella.
Okay.
Well.
Anyway.
Cinderella's been done so many different times, so many different ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I just know it seemed like they did start.
I think a lot of it too is they're trying to get some of the bigger ones, because I know they're doing Lion King. It's one of the big ones that's coming.
Coming out. So.
Yeah, and Aladdin.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad that they didn't, fall into the trap of whitewashing the cast essentially.
Yeah, well.
To be fair, though, I'm not a huge fan of the guy that got playing Jafar as far as the voice goes. He doesn't have that, he doesn't seem, he doesn't seem sinister enough.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's Disney, so they're going to hopefully have picked someone that, is going to play the character very well. But, I don't know, I heard him talk, and it's just like, you don't sound evil enough.
Well,
You're
also
the margarine of evil.
Being that the scene that they showed him talking was him talking to Aladdin about talking him into going into the Cave of Wonders, which, do you want to sound menacing when you're trying to coax somebody down a pit?
Well, to be fair, in the original animated, he was disguised as an old man trying to coax him down there.
Yeah.
That might be what's going on. Is just they're only giving you the old man lines. But I feel like I heard 2 or 3 of his other lines, and it's like, you don't sound evil enough.
Well, I'm just saying, all of a sudden it was like a freight train.
Yeah.
We've got Dumbo. Later on, we got, like you said, Lion King coming out, and it's not like they're being spaced out years apart. Lion King's out this summer, isn't it?
I think it's closer to the end of the year.
And Aladdin, isn't it this year also?
I think it's coming up sooner.
Yeah.
Because you're getting a lot of the trailers for it, so I think it's a summer release, and I think Lion King's supposed to be like an autumn release.
Autumn or next year.
Well, I was thinking
I'm
closer
pretty
to
sure
Thanksgiving.
There's too much been released and stuff for it to not be a 2019 release.
Like I said, I think it's a late, because I've seen a trailer.
Yeah.
And that's about it. With Aladdin, I mean, you're getting blasted with trailers left and right, so you know it's on its way.
Well, anyway, I'm just saying there's going to be 3 this year alone.
Yeah.
And then
maybe they're trying to pull a Marvel.
No, they're not trying to pull a Marvel. I guarantee that. But I think
they
part
are
of it,
Marvel. Have you forgotten?
At this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But no, I think it's just they're trying to do a revival on some of their Disney films, certain ones, and with the visual technology these days.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like, hey, let's take this old film, let's bring it back for a new audience to see. With updated
Why have they
graphics.
not done that with Sleeping Beauty yet? I mean, not Sleeping Beauty, Snow White.
Because Snow White, as far as Disney's concerned, is probably one of their classics they will not touch.
Because it's
Oh
the
no,
OG.
if they can make a dollar off of it, they'll touch it. And they'll touch it in inappropriate ways and make it call it daddy.
Anyway, the other 2 films that are coming out in wide release are The Beach Bum.
Yeah. Now, The Beach Bum is the newest film from Harmony Korine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Mike McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey,
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg, Isla Fisher. I pulled up the page.
Okay. Yeah, Harmony Korine is a controversial name,
Okay.
to say the least.
Well, I'm just reading over some of the names they've got in here.
Yeah.
And first of all, Matthew McConaughey is playing a character called Moondog.
Okay.
And Snoop Dogg is playing a character named Lingerie. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's one of those films I would check out, but I haven't seen any of his other films. I'm aware of them. I've heard about them. I've got a friend at work that is just fascinated by them.
Right.
His films always end up in controversy. I believe he was the one that did Ken Park, maybe. And I'm thinking Kids might have been his as well.
Director or writing, or what are we talking here?
I think writing. He may direct also. I'm not sure.
He does direct. In fact, he's directing Beach Bum. But the reason
Okay.
why I asked is I pulled up his page
Yeah.
because I was looking. No. Yes, Kids he wrote. And what was the other one? Ken Park?
Ken Park, yeah.
Yeah, he did the screenplay for it.
Yeah, he may have directed it too.
Well, I was looking at the director and I didn't see anything, but
Yeah.
because he's got 27 directorial credits.
Okay.
But yeah, they're not listed under his directorial credits, but they are listed under his writing credits.
Yeah.
So,
All right. And
All
the
right.
third big release, and this one I found out about by accident,
okay.
is Unplanned.
Okay.
Okay? Unplanned is another one of those faith-based films. Okay?
Okay.
And it's from a company called Pureflix. They were the ones that did God's Not Dead. Okay? Now, this is about abortion.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
And they submitted it to the MPAA, and they smacked it with an R rating.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, because of violent abortion, scenes.
Aha.
And so here's this sweet, wholesome company called Pureflix, and they're releasing an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
And I can just see the backflips and contortions that some people are having to go through right now to justify everything. And in fact, their line, was, well, we think it's crazy that a girl that's under 18 can get an abortion, but that she can't come see this movie without her parents. She can get an abortion without her parents, but she can't come see the movie without her parents.
Uh-huh.
Or 16-year-old, maybe is what they said instead of 18, because 17's the 16-year-old. And it was just like, yeah, and you would have been the ones, 10 years ago talking about, how terrible it was that all these R-rated movies were being made and they need to quit. I had a real good friend when I was growing up, and his parents did not believe in going to the movies at all. Their religion taught them that if you go to see a G-rated Disney film, that money still goes into making these R-rated movies. And so when I heard this, that just is immediately where my mind went, was, these people that were very pious and self-righteous about, R-rated movies. They only see movies from Pure Flix because they're clean and they're G and PG, or maybe a PG-13, because if you're going to show the evils of something, sometimes you get...
Yeah.
And then they turn around and release an R-rated movie. So... Anyway, I just, as I said, I got a bit of a chuckle out of the whole situation.
Yeah.
The way I found out about it too by accident is I got to talking with your mom about G-rated movies.
Right.
And I said, "What is the last major motion picture that's been released with a G rating?" And the only thing she could come up with was Olaf's Frozen Adventure.
That wasn't really a movie.
And that's what I said. I said, that's a short. That's not a movie. But it was almost 30 minutes long, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but that was the last G that she could find.
Okay.
So, anyway.
Okay.
So, moving on, I guess?
Yes, moving on to our movie for the week. And just before I get into that, I always say this after we talk about the movies that are coming out. Just check your local theater listings and go see a movie.
I'm going to interrupt for a minute, too,
okay.
Because a headline just hit that I find incredibly intriguing.
Okay.
Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand.
Okay.
To star in Joel Cohen. That's one of the Cohen brothers.
Okay.
Macbeth.
Ooh. That sounds like it would be interesting.
Yeah. They expect to shoot by the end of the year.
Okay.
It's his first film without frequent directing, writing, producing partner and brother Ethan Cohen.
Okay.
A24 will distribute.
Okay. Yeah, okay. A24 I've noticed is starting to really get its stride.
Oh, yeah. They're doing a lot.
Yes. All right. So, moving back on. So our film for this week is one called Bakerman. Or Bakerman. I'm not sure which way you'd lean with it.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is a film from David Noel. I kept saying Bourke.
Yeah.
He also did the screenplay for it.
See, I still say it's probably Bourke because of Bourne Identity, Bourne.
Right.
And this is Bourke, Bourke.
Yes. So, David, if you're listening, which I figure you probably are, so G2 says Bourke and G3 says Bourke. Just let us know which one's even remotely close, because I'm curious.
And he writes back and says, "It's pronounced Smith."
Anyway, but so this was actually suggested to us by Mr. Bourke himself.
Bourke.
And I'm really intrigued to see this one. This is another, well, I mean, this is basically another indie film for us.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm really looking to get into this one. He described it as Nordic Noir.
Yeah, and I like a good noir. So
Yeah.
It's only 83 minutes.
Which isn't bad.
So, no, and so, if it's a noir, it's probably pretty tightly,
Oh, yeah.
paced, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
I was looking to see if the budget was listed on this one, because, the budget's on the other two we did, Mute Date and Upstate Story.
Yeah.
Both were listed as being, under $500.
Yeah.
And I'm just guessing, but looking at the one sheet for this, I would say it probably cost them considerably more than that to make this one.
Right.
We will definitely find out.
Oh, yeah.
At some point. But okay. That's about all I was going to say.
All right. Well, let's see if there's a trailer for this, and if not, we'll leave you with something, and then we're going to go watch the film.
All right.
All right. All right, and we're back from watching Bakerman.
Yeah.
So this was rather interesting. It was definitely different from the last few entries we had.
Yeah, it was. As I suspected, the budget on this had to be much larger.
Yeah.
It was
It looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For an independent film.
Yeah, it's a very polished production.
Yeah.
It had a look to it that, and this sounds like stating the obvious, I guess, but it had a look like a Nordic film. The kind of, I don't want to say soft focus, but it's kind of everything's in focus, but yet it's got kind of a tissuey look to it. I think of some of Bergman's work and stuff. That type.
Okay. I've also noticed too that it does seem like even just regionally, it seems like there's different styles for doing stuff with film.
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from with this.
Yeah.
And
it just, to me, it was a gorgeous film.
Oh yeah.
Dark, and not just in tone at times, but kind of the look to it. You, in certain scenes, you really felt like you were in the muck, if you will. The weather.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it sound like you're out in the swamps someplace, but there's a lot of scenes where there's minor amounts of rain and everything, and that dark, kind of overcast sky.
Yeah.
Those play into the texture and
the atmosphere of the movie.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plot-wise, it's the story of a man with OCD.
Yeah.
He leads a fairly simple life and a fairly solitary life.
Yeah.
And then
just kind of gets, it's almost like it's a guy who's had enough and he just finds like he snaps on the first guy.
I don't really necessarily. I don't know that I read that into it. I think it's just a case of, wrong day.
It's possible because honestly, it seemed like his boss at that bakery, was a bit of a douche nozzle.
Well, he was in it for the money, and the character, Jens, the title Bakerman, he is methodical in the way he bakes breads and does his job, and he is. You don't necessarily get that he's a complete perfectionist, but he definitely takes pride
in what he does.
And he takes it slow and measured. To make sure that it's done correctly. And when you take the time and you do things slow and correctly, it costs more money. And the guy, the new owner, as he said, of the bakery, he is more interested in making the money. So let's see what we can do cheap to get more people to buy it. Let's do it faster. So it's a complete. I can understand some of the thought process of the character because at my job, I like to. I know what has to be done. And I like to do it correctly. I like to do it in a certain manner. And
then you've got someone basically screaming, "Speed up, speed up, speed up."
Well, you have all kinds of stuff going. That happens at times too. Or not so much with what I'm doing, but other jobs I've done. There. Excuse me. So, I can empathize with the character. I can understand, where he's from. And I'm one of these people too that has a lot of my stuff is rote behavior. If I don't do things in a certain order, to a certain pattern,
it throws you off.
Distracted, and I forget, and I get thrown off. So I very much related to.
Oh
it.
yeah, I think just about all of us here can.
Now, once he has his snapping moment, if you will, and his car's been broke into, the window's busted out. The three guys basically being, self-absorbed, uncaring jerks. And didn't help matters that one of them's wearing, his sunglasses, basically.
Now, were they actually his sunglasses?
Well,
because I thought...
Apparently not.
That's what I was,
But that was the point that seemed to finally have pushed him over the edge. Is, he had his routine. He got in his car. He put on his sunglasses, and he drove. And his sunglasses weren't there. He was going to have to break his routine. It was going to be...
And this guy looked like he had a pair of sunglasses exactly like his.
Right. And his car, he was standing by the car that had just been vandalized. And possibly robbed, for all he knew. So, he gets his handy tire iron out of the back and makes short work of the man. Which that in itself, was what, one blow pretty much?
But if you catch him in just the right spot, do not take this knowledge and run with it.
Do not try this at home.
Yes.
You're not wrong with
I
scissors.
do not endorse anyone doing this. But with the right, hitting him in the right spot with a tire iron will kill them.
But I've just, he got really lucky, let's say, on that blow.
That shot,
And then he seems to start down a dark path, going after one of the other guys that was in that trio. And that one was a drug dealer.
Oh,
So
I didn't realize that was one of the other ones from the trio.
I
just thought it was someone that, I thought it was another case of someone else that had wronged him.
I don't know. my takeaway, because he was using the guy's phone. Remember, the guy was taking pictures.
Oh, okay.
And he picked up the phone because he'd taken pictures of him. So he picked up the phone when he left along with his tire iron.
Okay.
And he was looking at it. That's what I took out of it.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't realize he'd grabbed the guy's phone.
Well, it was done in a long shot type deal.
Okay.
You see him, he's got his tire iron, and you see him reach down and grab, and the guy had that camera phone.
Okay.
And so I just assumed, okay, that was one of the three guys in that group.
That makes sense, with that piece of knowledge.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I didn't realize he had grabbed the phone, because I know I kept seeing him looking at a phone, and it had like a GPS tracker, it looked like, on it, and a variety of other things, and I'm like, and it took me a moment, because, again, I didn't realize he had taken the guy's phone.
Yeah, if you notice, the screen was cracked on it.
I didn't notice, actually.
Okay, yeah.
And then again, I'm used to seeing the hairline crack on my phone. So,
but anyway, so he goes after that guy and kills him, but that's a more personal kill because it's not just one glancing blow and
he
he's
hit
down.
him and then strangled him with his tire iron. Yeah.
So, that's more ties you more into the kill.
Yeah.
And then, although it's not shown explicitly, you certainly are led to believe through all the information we're given that he sets his buddy up by killing, the girlfriend.
Oh.
Well,
it's what it seemed, because I wasn't sure what her part was in all this.
Yeah.
Because I thought she may have been like the one that his boss was, I guess, trying to set him up with, because where he's single.
That wasn't his boss. That was
his coworker.
Yeah, his coworker was one trying to set him up with her.
Oh.
And she didn't want anything to do with it. They went out on that double date, and she didn't want really anything to do with him.
Okay.
And his buddy got lucky with, his girlfriend, which was that girl's friend.
Yeah.
But I think it also became a thing of, you remember the coworker says, "Hey, I think he's getting ready to fire one of us." Okay?
Oh, okay.
So to protect his job, and
okay.
He goes out, he kills the girlfriend.
I think I got up to get cereal at that point. Not to be mean, I was just really hungry and starting to lose focus.
Yeah. Half a pizza, 15 minutes before that'll...
I only had 3 slices of the one and like a single corner of the other.
Uh-huh.
That's not quite a half, especially considering one was a thin crust cut in like a square pattern. But
anyway. But that was my takeaway, was that he stalked her, he got her, he killed her, and blamed, planted evidence to put the blame on the coworker,
right?
So that he would be the one to lose his job, not Jen's.
Right.
Now,
okay,
I could have read that completely wrong, because as I said, it was written and filmed in an ambiguous way. If you want to believe that you're being misled and that the coworker actually was the one that killed the girl, you can allow yourself that luxury, because you never actually see Jen's
commit the act, or actually see him where the body's being dumped. Now, right,
you see his boots, or what looks like his boots, and you see those same boots outside his shower later, but it could just be that, you, as I said, you have the ability to reasonably deny, what's the term in the courts?
Plausible deniability.
Beyond a reasonable doubt. Can you say beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it? Well, it's pretty apparent that he probably did. But
well, the thing is, with the other two, you saw him, do the deed,
right,
but then leave the body there. He never tried to dispose of it. In this case, the deed was done, and then she was disposed of.
Yeah.
Now, you're led to believe, again, that he went in and did it, because after she shuts all the lights off, you see him go ahead and start heading what looks like towards the house.
Yeah.
But, again, we never see him do it, so, I would say based on, the way the film is that he did do it.
Yeah.
But
as I said, it's a clever use of editing and
right,
and everything.
Because you can also argue the other point. Well, again, you never see him do it, but at the same time, you never see anyone else in the apartment. So how would he have gotten the condom with the used condom with the one dude's baby gravy in it?
Yeah, but if you were going to kill your girlfriend, would you leave your used condom conveniently thereby?
Maybe if you're drunk.
Yeah, just as I said,
I know I'm stretching on that one, but
yeah, I'm more inclined to believe he did everything to set the coworker up so that the coworker would be the one out of a job and he would be safe and secure still in his.
Right.
And he told the coworkers about moving to Horzens.
Yeah.
To open up his own bakery.
Yeah.
So you never hear him mention that to anybody else. So it could be that he was lying to the...
It could have been that, or it could have been the fact that he was kind of getting fed up with the way things were being done there.
I'm sure he was, and I'm sure he probably would have liked to have had his own bakery. Yeah. Although I don't know that he would have wanted or been able to handle the responsibility.
Yeah.
And, you've worked with people before.
Yeah.
Okay? I've managed people before. And people have their own quirks and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody that's really OCD,
some of that could begin to get under your skin a little bit.
It could be things you just can't handle.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, trust me, I'm very familiar. It's not necessarily managing, but throughout the night, I've gotten requests to deal with some stuff with server issues that come up. Yeah. But I also, but I deal with a lot of the other people involved in that aren't like, higher up the chain, I guess you could say. And some of them are just frustrating.
Yeah, there's people like that.
Yeah.
But as I said, on the one hand, there's a side of me that's frustrated that you don't have the answer right in front of you 100%, okay?
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's a part of me that kind of likes that, you're
that
pretty,
ambiguity
you're pretty
is
certain this is what happened, but it gives you enough wiggle room to where, okay, the guy's already killed 2 people.
Yeah.
But we still kind of like him,
Yeah. Well, they even said, as I was reading through the trivia, that they rewrote him to be more likable.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, so if you see him commit this act of murder where the girl had done nothing wrong.
Right.
Because you can definitely say the one guy was a drug dealer. Killing him, you can excuse to an extent.
Yeah.
The other guy was just a douche.
Yeah.
If nothing else. And he thought he had been guilty of, robbing him and vandalizing his vehicle and everything.
Right.
And if that was the case, then, the hot-headed need to deal with this, lashing out. Okay, you can kind of understand that one.
Yeah.
But as I said, the girl, I don't know what was going on there.
I don't know.
Computer's acting up a bit.
Yeah. Keeps telling us that the router downstairs is a suspicious network, and it's never done this before.
No.
But
anyway.
The end of the film.
Yeah.
That one left me kind of scratching my head. Because there were a few things that indicated that maybe he wasn't too happy with this person that had suddenly been kind of dumped in his life of his own accord.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, I mean, he is trying to make a connection with someone else.
Right. I think he had made a connection with her, but having never been in that situation before,
Left him confused.
yeah, he didn't know how he was supposed. If you've never been someone's boyfriend or someone's girlfriend, and you've never had a boyfriend or a girlfriend whose feelings and thoughts and interpretations of things you have to take into account on anything you do.
Yeah.
It's easy to understand where he would not have known how to behave or how to act in certain situations. Plus, I'm not sure what he was drinking. It looked like it might have been absinthe.
No, it was probably closer to champagne or something.
But it was green.
I didn't see it as being green. It looked clear to me.
See, it looked green to me. But either way,
yeah, I mean, he had been drinking something,
right? And so, we've never seen him in the movie drinking before, or
right?
Anything, so,
well, I mean, he even states he doesn't normally like parties. So, I mean,
he could have been, a little bit off kilter or whatever.
Yeah.
Plus, think of all the stuff he's dealing with, and the revelation that the guy that he killed that started the whole, thing,
yeah,
didn't actually steal
him.
Yeah, steal his
from
glass.
him,
Yeah. So it's
because you could even see right after he did that. I mean, it's just like it was like his world turned upside down for him.
Yeah,
and
I think you're left with the understanding that at least for the time being, they are a couple now.
Yeah. Well, you see, the thing was, the reason why I was mentioning that, it seemed strange, or why it left me scratching my head was, at one point in time, he had opened up his drawer and pulled out a butcher knife while she was living there.
Yeah.
But of course, he doesn't kill her while she's there because it was later on that, they went to the party together.
Yeah.
And then she left.
Yeah.
And I figured she got upset because, here he is, he's finally, it seems like he's more coming out of his shell and starting to be social.
Yeah.
And to her, it looked like he was flirting with the girl who was dressed in the nurse's costume.
Right.
And that, I don't think, was the case.
Well, keep in mind, too, that the girl, what was her name?
I can pull it up.
I want to say Mulan. No, that's
no, that's not right.
It's Monan or Mozan.
Okay. And she also doesn't speak Danish.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So they're talking at the party, and they're talking in Danish.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what they're saying. She can't understand. And there's nobody else there that she can converse with.
Right. Well, there's no one there that she would have known.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, I think that was just him not knowing how to cope in that situation because he'd never had a girlfriend before.
Right.
Never really had a date as far as we can tell.
Yeah.
And
but I mean, he even runs out of the party because it's almost like he realized that he may have screwed up.
Yeah.
Because she disappeared, so he went out running around looking for her.
Right.
Went home. Now here's the other thing too is when he gets back, he has to unlock his front door.
Yeah.
And he finds that note sitting on the table. The question I kind of have is, did she write the note before they left and leave it there expecting to have to bail out anyway, or did she have a key to the house in case she needed in?
There's a lot of different ways to interpret that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I assumed she had, somewhere through the time she'd been there, had gotten a key.
Okay.
Whether he gave her one or whether she found a spare and was carrying it,
Yeah.
It's never explicitly stated, but, that's a possibility. Another possibility, we never actually get to see the note. The note could have been, something not related to, this is how you behaved and this is why I left and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, it's just as he read it, though, I mean, he started to break down.
Right. But it could have been her explaining to him how much he was becoming demean to her, and that she was really excited about the party, and just something like you say, to have left for when they got back. Okay.
Yeah.
A special surprise for him to find or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that possible? Is it likely? No. Is it possible? Okay.
Yeah.
Because she's still in the house.
Yeah.
Now, either she wasn't in the house and she came in while he's doing this, in which case, how would she have gotten in to leave the note saying she was leaving or whatever it said, if that's what it was?
Right.
But at the same time, as I said, I felt like she probably had a key. She'd written the note. She left it. She was waiting to see how he reacted.
Yeah.
And when she saw how
much he basically
was,
cared.
yeah, and how much, that's when she, went to him.
Right.
No, it didn't tie everything up in a nice, neat little ribbon.
Well, but the other point I was getting at was, the last little scene in the film was him, in the car by himself. And I didn't know if that just meant he was going back to his regular routine.
I thought the last scene was them in the kitchen, and
no, there was one more scene of him in the car driving by himself.
I don't remember that.
You remember that, right, hon?
At the very end, they do show him back in the car again, but then they also slap with the title Bakerman. So it might be.
Well, it could be a couple things. It could be. Well, actually, there's a lot of things. I do now that you mentioned it, and I get to think. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, there is that.
Yeah, when you didn't,
it was just. It didn't register with me because,
you're so used to seeing him in the car by himself anyway.
Well, she doesn't go to work with him.
Right.
Okay. So, like you said, okay, fine. He's going on now. He's going back to work. Okay. Another possibility. He's taken her out and killed her somewhere, and we don't know,
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of, because it almost seemed like he was, thinking about doing that.
Yeah. And, the other option is, that she came back to him, they spent the night together, and then she left. But that doesn't ring true necessarily, because if that was the case, why would she leave after, getting intimate with him, which, that you don't see him get
right
truly intimate, but I mean, she takes her top off and everything. And
yeah, it's the start of it.
Yeah, they're holding each other in the kitchen floor.
Yeah.
But, if she was going to leave, he would have to take her wherever, because she,
yeah,
would need a lift. So I just assumed, they'd made up, she stayed at the house and he was going about his day.
You didn't read a whole lot into it.
Right. And I think that's why it didn't register with me, because the last impactful scene
right
was her in the kitchen floor with him.
Okay. Yeah.
So, if you want to take and try to psychoanalyze everything, yeah, there's a lot of possibilities about what that final scene could have meant. But I just, I like to live in an upbeat world, and I'm going to assume that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's, as I said, from the trivia, he was rewritten to be likable.
Yeah. Well, and it said there was a much more darker.
Yeah, they originally wrote him to be a much darker and more sinister.
Well, the film was even, darker.
Yeah.
Which I would love to know. Maybe you'll get an email, and David will tell you, what the original dark intents and purposes,
yeah, because after that little bit of trivia, I'm kind of interested to know.
Yeah. Well, I am too.
Yeah.
We were talking. Go back to sleep.
I wasn't trying to sleep.
But anyway, I really did. I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's one of those things, it's hard to explain, hard to put a finger on. Because typically, if I'm watching a film, I want everything to be there for me.
Yeah.
Okay? I want to know what story you're telling me.
Yeah.
I don't normally like an event to happen that can be read in 15 different ways. But at the same time, that's how real life is.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking to somebody and they say something to you or they do something, and you can only interpret that based on what you know of that person and how you embody the actions they've taken.
Right.
You know, if I tell you, drive safely.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just Dad. All right?
Yeah.
But if there was someone that wasn't used to being told drive safely,
Yeah.
or somebody thinking about it, that might almost seem like a threat. Drive safely.
Yeah.
Because I cut your brake lines, and you're going to need to be careful.
Yeah.
That type. It can be taken depending on how you.
Yeah. And especially the experiences you've had.
Right. I've had. Well, you've done it, Ricky. Your mom. We've all talked about various situations, and one of you comes to me and this is what they said, and this is what they did, and this is what happened, and this is what that means. And I'm like, no, this is what they said. That could mean this. This is what they did. This may be why. And it may be a completely, 180 degrees from what you're thinking, but you're applying what your mind and what your actions would be.
Yeah.
If your mom wakes up in the middle of the night and can't sleep, she gets up, she goes in, she might watch some TV, she might, read on her iPad, whatever, okay?
Yeah.
Now, my interpretation when I see her do that isn't, the first reaction is not usually she couldn't sleep and she got up. It's, oh, she's sick, something's wrong, I pissed her off. One of those three things,
Yeah.
And all of them require an action on my part. Okay? Because if she's sick, I need to see if she needs me to, do something for her, get her something.
Yeah.
Is she sick to the point that, and if she's pissed at me, okay, why are you pissed at me? What did I do?
Yeah.
How do we fix this? Okay? And it's the same thing if, or it used to be, if I'd get up, now she still will, she'll say, okay, maybe I was sick, and she might get up and say, hey, honey, are you okay? I'm fine. I just couldn't sleep, But, if I were to get up and leave in the middle of the night, okay?
Yeah.
Well, her reactions, going to be based on her fears and her thought patterns of what she would be thinking if she had taken those actions. And she's going to try to think of why I would take those actions. Try to get into my head.
Yeah.
And figure it out. Okay? And those can take you in completely wrong directions.
Yeah.
Because it may just be a case of, I woke up and I couldn't sleep, and I thought, Walmart's open 24 hours, and I really need a ginger ale because my stomach's bothering me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drive over and buy a cold ginger ale.
Yeah.
You know, it could be, or Kroger's is actually close. You know, it could be something as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, I've had some similar issues between me and Kayla where, you know, she'll be out like a light, sleeping comfortably. And it's like, well, I need to run and go ahead and go get the groceries.
Yeah.
You know, it's a case of we've talked, you know, and this, it's like we talked about the day before, but I'll get out, I'll get the groceries, and I'll be on my way back, and I'll get a call from a sleepy Kayla going, Gar, where'd you go?
He doesn't like leaving notes.
Yeah,
Well, it's because I've left notes before and you wouldn't read them. However, it would be a case of, I went to go get groceries. Well, why didn't you wake me? Because you were comfortable and you were sleeping good.
Yeah.
You could have woke me up.
But, like I said, but that's how we react in real life. So, you know, in one respect, it makes it more realistic that you don't have everything spelled out.
Right.
That you do have to try to get inside the mind of the character.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, on the other hand, there is a part of me that still goes, yeah, but, okay, now clue me in. You know, I'm the audience. Clue me in.
Yeah. Now, the guy that was the female character's brother, was that just a case of he happened upon that, or was he one of the other three?
I don't know. You know, I felt like he just happened upon that.
That's what I felt too, because
he didn't have his GPS out, did he?
No, not that I could tell. But at the same time, he also left the guy alive.
Well, he did that, and also, okay. Once again, my interpretation. He's just had 2 huge adrenaline rushes. And at this point, he still thinks he's on the side of, you know, justice and right.
Right.
These people wronged me. They've wronged society. And, you know.
Now they're gone.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to go out now, you know, and I'm going to try to find out and try to find other people that are bad actors or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make them pay. And he happens upon that scene, you know.
Okay.
And, you know, the guy says something about it, you know, it's family business.
Yeah.
So, as he got the guy to leave her, got him off of her, got her away, I could see him not killing the guy.
Right.
Because if he kills the guy and doesn't kill the girl, there's a witness to his crime. Number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 is it's family. You don't know what the situation is.
Right.
And so until he can talk to her, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess he figures, well, you know, if it's really bad, you know, I'll just come back and kill them both later. You know, I don't know, you know, and it may not even be what's on his mind, but you know,
yeah,
but he would have to almost leave the guy alive.
Yeah,
and that's that particular scenario.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but either
once
way,
again, you know, it would be interesting to hear. You know, I was very interested when we got the email back from Cody Clark talking about. Was it Cody? Yeah, Cody was one that did
Mute Date.
Mute Date, yeah. When you got the email back from him and he was talking about this is
the scene on the bridge that you were having the.
This is why that happened.
Yeah.
This is, you know. So I'm very interested to hear what you know David has to say about our thoughts on Bakerman.
Yeah.
How far off we were, or how much of that was truly the intent and the plan.
Yeah.
The acting in this too was really good. I mean, that's something I don't want to get away from the film without bringing up.
Right.
A lot of times with a very small, you know, small independent film, you know, small budgeted film.
Yeah.
Sometimes your acting isn't necessarily, you know, of the highest quality, but both of these lead actor and lead actress, they got awarded or
the one
nominated.
got an award, and
on the circuit.
Yeah.
So, and they deserved it.
Yeah.
Everybody in the film, I thought, did a fantastic job with their role.
Yeah.
So, I was very much impressed with it. Now, one thing I noticed, and maybe I was wrong, I see if you noticed this too, but when his sister was having the party, and, she invited him over and invited him and was making a big deal about wanting him to come to the party.
Yeah.
But then when he showed up,
it's almost like he was just kind of, she never came over and said anything to him.
Well, she wasn't, she showed how thrilled she was with everybody showing up and hugging them and making over their costumes and all. And then he shows up and it's like, oh, you made it.
Oh, you actually showed up.
Yeah. Oh, and you brought someone who I don't know, who you haven't told me about,
Well, he did mention that he had met someone.
Right, he mentioned that in the final phone conversation, but I'm just saying he hasn't let her in on anything about his life, who this person is. And she doesn't care enough to sit there and talk to him and talk to her and try to understand what's going on, who everybody is. And there wasn't any big smiles or anything for him. Yeah. Like there was for the girl that came in the costume and she was squeezing the tits on, and the one that came in dressed like a rabbit and flipped the mask up, and she was just, so thrilled.
Yeah.
And
then he shows up and just like, oh.
You actually did show up.
Yeah. Now, was that his sister that he was talking to at various?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was, because I know, he wasn't able to make it to some of the other, I guess, events that were going on.
Yeah.
But, she invites him to the birthday, and he goes ahead and shows up.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I'm wondering if she really didn't, if she invited him out of a sense of obligation and to make herself feel better and to try to make him feel like he's really wanted and really...
Well, I never got the sense that she, hated him through at any point in the movie.
No, I'm not saying she hated. I'm just saying.
I mean, disliked, I guess, is probably.
But, the reaction she had to him and his arrival, and Mazan's arrival, was just so different from her reaction to everybody else that showed up.
Yeah.
And she was still running around partying and joking around with people and smiling. All the other guests, smiles and...
But, I mean, you never really see her come over and actually talk to her brother.
Right. And if my brother... Well, I don't have a brother, but, if
Nan had come in for something.
If Nan and I had, were closer... in age and everything. And I'd been trying to get her to, come out and do things. And she shows up, and she brings, somebody with her that I haven't met before and that obviously means something to them because they don't go out, and they certainly don't go out with people or,
right,
whatever. I'm going to want to take, if they really mean something to me.
It would have been a case, it's going to be a case of tell me everything.
Yeah. And, not to sound sexist, but a sister is definitely going to be sitting down with the new girlfriend or potential new girlfriend and quizzing her and getting to know her because this could be your sister-in-law one day.
Let's be honest. We need the dirt.
Well, it's a matter of how serious is it, and okay.
Are you some sort of psychotic, person?
Yeah, are you going to hurt my brother? Are you going to hurt, So that behavior puzzled me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's different because where this is a Nordic film, it could be European customs.
Yeah. Well,
it could be different.
It could be, but it's still just...
Well, I mean, my thing on this is it's family regardless. I mean, you're going to want to know... Especially if they show up with someone you've never met and they've never really talked too much about. I mean, you're going to want to know because, just think when I started showing up to family functions with you in tow, people were...
Okay. How many seconds was it after you walked in the door with Lois for the first time that she hadn't already set you down and started grilling you?
Actually, first time I met Lois was when he had to take Lois and Sandy, and they had to get pictures done at Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah, because Lois wanted... she wanted, I think, current pictures of me and Sandy, and then because, she was in the mix, wanted pictures of me and her as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was, like, immediate, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, when Sean would have a new girlfriend or whatever, she was immediately, asking questions about him, and God help the girlfriend when she showed up.
Yeah.
Because she was going to get to the bottom and know your family genealogy and history and, what your favorite foods were and everything.
Yeah.
Before you walked into the other room, much less out the door,
Yeah. And now, mind you, putting, myself in, a similar situation that the sister's in where, she's, where there's it's a birthday party going on, and I've got friends showing up, and then let's just say for some odd reason, Sandy and Ricky split and Sandy comes in with a new boyfriend.
Yeah.
One, I'm going to be, getting my friends, especially, the really close friends' attention, that haven't met her, and going, hey, guys, come here for a second. This is my sister.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at that point, it's about the point I'm going to be finding out, who this dude is.
Yeah. But you get the idea of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Something there just, didn't seem...
Human?
No, it seemed perfectly human.
Well...
It just didn't seem... It seemed like there was something hidden in the character that we weren't privy to.
Right.
Now, maybe if, the movie went on another hour, 2 hours, and something else happened, there was more interactions, we might get the answer to that.
Right.
Or it may just be, I may be reading more into it than is there. Once again, David, we'd love to hear,
Hear just where, how, close or far off point we are with some of this.
Yeah. But
Anyway, but no, even with, all of that, I mean, this film was great.
Yeah.
And, the music where they did have it, definitely, helped build on the already kind of dark atmosphere that it had from time to time.
Well, it had that
synthesized?
Yeah, there we go. Too much of it this been there for me. Sound that I interpret with
suspense.
Well, not just suspense, but Carpenter used it in his films. Romero had it in a lot of his films. It was that it makes you think, okay, this is the tone I'm setting,
Yeah.
This is who I'm putting myself in league with as far as atmosphere. And, so we need to see if things are going to go as bad here as they do in those people's realities.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the music.
Yeah.
But it definitely recalled, those two things for me.
Right.
Romero and Carpenter. So.
Yeah. All right. So, I think we've broken down our thoughts on the film.
Yeah. I do want to, once again, I think I kind of touched on it, but the editing on the film.
Yeah.
The whole thing of letting you understand this is this man's day-to-day existence.
Yeah.
And you go first in longer cuts, and then you can shorthand it to just he opens the soap or he picks up the soap, and you know where it's going from there.
Yeah.
And then you see, a quick cut in the shower, taking the steam. Quick cut here, quick cut there.
Yeah.
And you can follow and
Yeah. It allows you to get to more of the interactions that he's having with everyone else.
Yeah.
But just building that shorthand, that's not an easy task.
No.
And did a really good job with that, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. Sorry,
All right.
I always have one or two things I've got to...
Oh, no, that's totally
throw in
fine.
there. Oh, one other thing I'm going to...
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're down to minor things. The subtitles. It's one of the things you don't normally even think about.
Right.
But when I watched Roma, the subtitles on it were very distracting to me. They went by too fast. They weren't clear.
Right.
They weren't positioned in a way that didn't interfere with the picture. To me.
Yeah.
Okay? And as I said, it may have been, just that I got a bad subtitle situation, okay?
Well,
because
I was going to say, I've noticed sometimes the subtitles and other things because I've watched a lot of stuff in, Japanese.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff in German. I've seen a couple of things in French. And, sometimes they'll have the subtitles on there and then something in the, well, mind you, sometimes it can be distracting, but sometimes you'll be reading and then like something in the background is the same color as the text and the text just gets lost.
right. But the subtitles in this were spot on.
Yeah.
They were easy to follow. They were easy to read. They weren't distracting. They didn't cover up the action. They didn't disappear.
Right.
And, it's a minor thing, but when you don't speak the language and you're trying to follow the film,
it's a big deal.
it is a major...
when and how and what you do with the subtitles.
Yeah. So, anyway. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to... Because it's, like I say, it's the little things, the things that you don't...
That most people don't normally pay attention to.
Well, it's not just that most people... It's when you get to talking about a film, what do you talk about? The first things you're going to talk about is the plot, the actors, the direction. These are the things that are up front and you're really seeing.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you start getting into the more background thing. Another thing too, the dialogue. Okay?
Yeah.
I've watched films where the dialogue is so
Forced,
stilted. Hey, I've got a point I need to get across here. So I'm going to hammer it home.
Yeah.
With, a bunch of... It won't sound real, but it'll get all the information out there.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound like anything any normal, real human being would say, but this way you'll have all the information. I've seen films like that. We've seen films where, because of the budget, like Upstate Story and Mute Date, where it's a very low budget, so you have to kind of, use an economy of words. Now, it wasn't so much with Mute Date because they got around it through the use of the talking through our minds thing. But with Upstate Story, where it was all told through voiceover, you don't get the other people's dialogue, the other people's words delivered through them. And so, it was, once again, through necessity. And I thought they handled it very well. But, here in Bakerman, you have multiple characters, and they're all synced up and talking.
Yeah.
And so the dialogue has to sound like a realistic exchange.
Yeah.
And not everybody talks the same.
Yeah.
So you have to have that, a little bit of difference in everybody's structure. And
that was handled very well.
It was handled well. And none of the dialogue sounded like, oh, okay, they just put that in there to, to explain this point. By the same token, there was a lot of scenes where there wasn't a word spoken.
Yeah.
But you didn't need it. It carried those scenes through the action, through the editing, through the direction.
Yeah.
And those were mostly the scenes with him by himself, the solitary scenes.
Yeah.
And that builds up, too, because you're used to seeing him not talking, because there's nobody else to talk to.
Right.
When he is with his sister, they have an economy of words. He doesn't say a lot to her. She doesn't say a whole lot to him, but she says a little more than he does.
Right.
With his coworker, rat-a-tat-tat, on and on.
Yeah.
But he's, okay, very much an economy of words because he's not used to conversing with people.
Right.
He's used to being by himself. You don't have to talk to yourself. You know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it did a great job with knowing when to talk, to say it in a way that sounds realistic, and then knowing, too, when you can just shut up and let the picture tell you everything.
Yeah.
When it's going to be forced if you try to put dialogue in there.
Right.
So I was also impressed with that.
Yeah.
All right.
So, on to ratings then.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and lead us off with this one.
Okay.
Because, I really enjoyed the film, and, this is another one just like, Mute Date that I'd like to have, some sort of physical copy of.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it that much.
Okay.
We've pretty much, hit all the points I think we all intended to.
Yeah.
With all this. This one is a 9 for me.
Okay.
I really did enjoy it that much.
I'm glad. I'm like you in that I would love to have a physical media copy, but take a look around you.
Yeah.
I want physical media copies of everything. I have a friggin' physical media copy of Freebirds. And that movie,
is one of your lowest rated on the show.
It's... If it wasn't the lowest rated, it deserves to be. Anyway, that being said, this movie does not deserve that that kind of treatment. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I'd like to see some more work from Mr. Bourke or Bourke. You say Bourke, I say Bourke. You say potato, I say potato.
Yeah.
You say cannonball, Kayla says cannibal.
No, my cell phone says
Her
cannibal.
phone says cannibal. But
I'm coming in just a little below you.
Okay.
I'm at about an 8.5.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't know how much of that could actually be tied into the fact that my legs were bothering me.
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of issues with, it's not really restless leg syndrome, but it's similar. And so
okay.
I couldn't sit comfortably. Had to stand up, had to kick off shoes, socks, and stuff.
Yeah, I'm having knee issues from where I bounced it off the stairs, so
yeah, well,
that's why I've kicked you a couple of times by accident trying to get my legs stretched out.
Don't bounce it off the stairs.
I wasn't trying to.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Kayla?
I have to go actually with an 8.
Okay.
Okay.
It
Stair
was good.
steps.
It was good, and I did like it, but
you had to read it.
Yeah, kind of. I don't mind subtitle films. It takes me out of the film in general. I like to focus on the action, not try to understand what are they even saying with subtitles.
My dear, you need to play more 3DS. It will train you.
No.
Actually, you could take language lessons.
That's true, too.
Start with English. I'm sorry. Couldn't resist.
You could have.
No.
So we all really
I
enjoyed
have my
film.
smart-ass degree, and you know how you get
I've
trained.
been filling out job applications. When they ask me about language, I'm like, I'm fluent in English and sarcasm.
And they go, yeah, she's a smart-ass. We don't need to hire her.
But anyway, so we all really enjoyed the film.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I see he's got another film in pre-production, so David, be sure and let us know when you get that one done, because
we'd be more than willing to do it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we'd like to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now the big question: next week.
Oh dear God, yes.
Yeah, you spent a little bit before we got back, kind of pacing around trying to pick something.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
30 minutes.
hey,
He wants to make sure it's a good pick.
I don't have time during the week to evaluate everything like certain people do.
What do you mean evaluate? I usually just pull a rabbit out of my ass. I mean, hat.
Hey, rookie, watch me pull a rabbit out of my ass.
It's covered in shit, Bullwinkle. That's what I call a dust bunny.
I call it Freebirds.
It's a fudge rabbit.
Well, you know those chocolate bunnies that you get for Easter?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I've been opening the curtain a bit. I always try not to keep repeating myself. If I did, if we've done comedies recently, I try to go with, something a little different. I try to make sure there's a good mix in the show.
Yeah.
And I really should probably have gone with a more classic, black and white, type film. But I just not really thinking of anything right at the moment, for that.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, we hadn't done a horror film in a while, so I was thinking of horror. And I've got 3 or 4 of those,
Yeah.
I'm considering. And I really thought about doing a Larry Cohen film. But I know you've seen It's Alive. I know you've seen The Stuff.
Yeah.
I know you've seen Q.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Fight for Your Life. But Fight for Your Life is also not really a horror film. It's suspense. It's a thriller. But it's not exactly...
Yeah.
And actually, I think I may have God Told Me To, which is another one of his. But once again, not really that sure on it. So kind of batted around there. So I narrowed it down to a handful of films.
Right.
Unfortunately, a handful is still like 4 or 5, you realize.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking what I want to do for next time is go with a film I really enjoyed when I was a kid. And it's not the one you were talking about. I'll get to that one, I'm sure.
Okay.
But actually, now I might go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go ahead next week. We'll drop back into the early 80s.
Okay.
And do John Carpenter's The Fog.
Okay.
Yeah. I was really close to doing Race with the Devil. Because that gets, a racing film and a horror film and a drive-in film and a 70s film all rolled into one.
Yeah, we can save that for your next one.
And it's short, too.
Okay.
But I love it.
Right.
No, it won't be the next one. The next one will probably be a little more
Okay.
substantial film.
Okay. So, we got The Fog next week.
Right.
All right. Well, then, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Just as a reminder, if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, that is @CinemaToastCast. You can also find us on Facebook under Cinema Toast Crunch Podcast. We're also available on Tumblr under the same name, Cinema Toast Crunch Podcast. And if you'd like to send in your emails to the show, thoughts on the movies we've done, maybe some movie suggestions, or, if you're an independent filmmaker like, many of the others that we've featured on here, and you'd like for us to, watch your film and give you our thoughts on it.
Like Cody, David, and Sean?
Yes.
Yep.
You can send that email to cinematoastcrunchpodcast@gmail.com. We really do like hearing from you guys, and I promise, we will see your emails.
Yes.
Sometimes I have a hard time getting back to them because I get busy with stuff, but I promise we will see them. We will respond to them. So do not get distressed if you don't hear back from us in like a day or two.
Okay.
We have lives, outside of all this. And finally, thanks to our wonderful host, Libsyn, we have the website, which is cinematoastcrunch.libsyn.com. And if you'd like to have our podcast delivered to you through something other than, say, Libsyn, we're also on iTunes and Stitcher Radio under Cinema Toast Crunch.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it, and we will see y'all next week.
All right, bye.
Bye.